Welcome back to Marginal Thoughts for another deep dive. Seriously, just take a second. Imagine this. You wake up and there's no knot in your stomach about bills. Zero. You make choices about your day, your work, your life because you want to, not because you need the paycheck. You actually pursue those passions you keep putting off, spend real time with people you care about. You have the freedom to just red up. Well, B, without that constant background hum of money stress. That right there, that's the promise of financial freedom. And I know it can sound huge, maybe even like impossible right now, especially if you're just starting out and the whole world of finance feels like this complicated map you were never given. But what if getting there was built on steps that are surprisingly simple? The kind they definitely don't teach in school, but they're out there. Today, we're digging into exactly that. We're looking at material that lays out principles, actionable steps for achieving financial freedom. And this is really aimed at you, the listener, if you're maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed or just not sure where to even begin.
Yeah, our goal today is pretty straightforward, but honestly, really powerful. We want to cut through all the jargon, pull out the most vital, actionable bits of wisdom from this material, and give you a clear roadmap, something you can actually use, start like right now, to build towards that life you really want.
Okay, let's unpack that term first. Financial freedom. What is it exactly? Is it just about being mega rich? Piles of cash?
Well, the sources are pretty clear on this. It's not necessarily about being rich in the way we usually think about it. It's more about having enough income from work, investments, whatever, and enough savings and assets built up so that you can live the life you truly desire without having to depend on a traditional 9-to-5 job. It boils down to control. Control over your money, sure, but more importantly, control over your choices and your time.
Ah, okay. So it's less about hitting some magic number and more about the ratio, your lifestyle versus your resources.
Exactly. You nailed it. Think of it like that. A ratio. Wealth isn't just how much money you have sitting there. It's how much you spend compared to what you make or what your assets generate. You could earn a fortune, but if you spend more, you're still in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Financial freedom happens when that ratio flips decisively in your favor. That's what creates the independence.
That shift in perspective is huge. So the why bother chasing this? It's not just about retirement way down the line, is it?
Oh, not at all. The why is immediate. It's incredibly powerful, like today. Financial freedom opens up so many possibilities right now. It frees you from having to make big life decisions based only on money. Things like, which job to take, where you can afford to live, even small stuff like stressing over grocery prices. It gives you the space to pursue things you're actually passionate about, spend quality time with people, and it massively reduces that constant gnawing financial stress that can really damage your health and relationships.
Right, that stress is a killer. And the sources actually lay out a path. How do you get there?
They do. It's usually a combination of things. Building independent income streams is one way. That could be, say, starting a business or having investments that pay you regularly, dividends, rental income, that kind of thing. Or you can focus on accumulating assets, investments, savings, maybe property that grow in value or generate enough income to cover your expenses and your goals. Honestly, most people who succeed use a mix of both strategies.
Got it. So generate income, build assets, makes sense. But okay, for someone really at square one, maybe feeling like, I'm just not good with money, where does this whole journey actually start?
This is where it gets really interesting and honestly quite empowering. The sources say it starts with your mindset, a huge reason many people never achieve financial success. It's down to limiting beliefs. One source just states it flat out. No one is better or smarter than you are. Think about that. Most millionaires, they started out as ordinary people, ordinary jobs, ordinary education. They just learned and applied the right principles.
Hold on, no one is smarter. Really? Don't things like background or, raw intelligence play a role?
The sources really push back on that idea. Sure, you learn skills, but the fundamental point is that success isn't reserved for some elite group you're not part of. It's about perspective and what you do with knowledge. Remember that hand circling thing?
Vaguely. Remind me.
Okay, hold up your right hand, look up at the ceiling, circle your finger clockwise. Got it.
Yeah, okay. Clockwise.
Now keep circling exactly the same way, but slowly lower your hand until you're looking down at your finger.
Whoa. Okay, now it looks like it's going anti-clockwise.
Exactly. Nothing changed about the motion, just your perspective. The sources argue your financial reality works the same way. Change your perspective, you can change the outcome.
Huh. That's a powerful illustration. So, step one is shifting how you see things. What else is foundational for a beginner?
Understanding your money story, how you grew up around money. What did your parents say about it? Your first experiences saving or spending. All that stuff shapes our relationship with money, often unconsciously. If you had negative experiences, maybe saw spending as relief or reward and saving as deprivation, that can lead to really destructive habits later. Self-sabotage is a big one. People start succeeding, then blow it by spending wildly or making foolish investment. It's like they don't feel they deserve it.
Yeah, that hits home a bit. It feels like fighting an invisible current sometimes.
Precisely. And that ties into what the sources call the hidden killer, a scarcity mindset. It gets tangled up with those negative beliefs and creates this background hum of fear and anxiety about money. Like there's never enough. It pushes you toward short-term thinking, maybe making rushed decisions because you're operating from that place of lack. Long-term planning, really hard when you're stuck in scarcity. It basically repels wealth because you're not open to receiving it. You're focused on not enough.
Okay, that sounds deeply ingrained. How do you even start to tackle that?
You have to consciously work on it, rewire the associations, train yourself actively to link pleasure with saving, with investing, with seeing your assets grow. And conversely, associate pain with wasteful spending, with taking on high-interest debt. It's like flipping the script on your conditioning.
That definitely requires some mental effort. Discipline. What else is crucial for building that beginner mindset for success?
Believing in yourself. Honestly, that's the starting block. You have to fundamentally believe that you can get the money you need. And, just as important, that you deserve the success you can achieve. Start seeing yourself as someone who will be financially successful. Also, really internalize that money is just a tool. It's neutral, not good, not bad. Its power comes from how you get it and how you use it. Wealth itself. The sources frame it as inherently good because of the good it enables, but don't get obsessed with money itself.
Right, money as a tool, not the goal.
Okay.
And taking charge.
Absolutely. Take 100% responsibility right now for your current situation and for your future. No more blaming the economy, your boss, your past. None of it. Develop an entrepreneurial spirit. That doesn't mean you have to start a business, but adopt that mindset of ownership, looking for solutions, and cultivate decisiveness and urgency. Successful people, they think things through, sure, but once they decide, they act quickly. Immediately get the do-it-now habit. Try more things, take more calculated shots. Probability says you'll find the right way faster.
Do it now. I like that. But failure, the fear of failing, that stops so many people.
It does. And the sources tackle this directly. You cannot allow the fear of failure to be an option. That's the key distinction. Failure itself, it happens. It's often how you learn the most. It makes you stronger. It's the fear of failing that paralyzes you, prevents you from even starting. You have to dare to move forward anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Face the possibility cautiously. Yes, gather information, but then act. You build more courage through action. Okay, so once that mindset foundation is getting stronger, let's talk about the specific principles and habits the sources say are essential for this journey.
All right, let's hear them. What's the absolute bedrock habit?
Setting clear goals. The sources argue this might be the single greatest discovery for personal achievement. Basically, what you focus on most consistently tends to manifest in your reality. Successful people, they think about their goals all the time. And there's a method, a 7-step process they lay out. 1, decide exactly what you want. Be specific. 2, write it down clearly, in detail. 3, set a deadline. When do you want to achieve this? 4, make a list. Everything you can think of that you'll need to do. 5, organize that list into a plan. What comes first? What's most important? 6, start. Implement the plan immediately. Take that first action. And 7, do something every single day that moves you towards your most important goal right now.
Writing it down. It sounds almost too simple, but they really emphasize that part.
Oh, absolutely. They call it thinking on paper. It's presented as a fundamental practice, writing down goals, plans, ideas. It clarifies your thinking and locks in your focus like almost nothing else.
And speaking of focus,
concentration, hugely important. The ability to focus single-mindedly on the most valuable use of your time, hour by hour, day by day, this habit. It's non-negotiable for financial success. You have to direct your energy to the things that actually move the needle, the things that make the most money or create the most value.
Okay, identify the high-impact stuff and hit it hard. What about just getting better? Skills.
Lifelong learning and skill development. They frame this as basically a minimum requirement now. First, identify the skills that would have the biggest positive impact on your career or your financial path. Then, commit to mastering them. Become an absolute expert in your field, whatever it is, and dedicate time every day, 30, 60 minutes to learning. Read books, interview journals, listen to audio programs in the car, turn your commute into a university on wheels, they say, take courses, attend seminars. Learning is what equips you to solve bigger problems, overcome obstacles faster, and use those magic questions after anything significant happens. What did I do right? And what would I do differently next time? That turbocharges your learning curve.
That daily learning habit really compounds, doesn't it? What about just pure hard work? Does that still matter?
Unequivocally, yes. Especially when you're starting out. There's no substitute for putting in the effort. The sources mention this 40-plus formula. Think of it like this: 40 hours a week. That's basically for survival. Every hour you work beyond those 40 is an investment in your future success. If you're only doing 40 hours, you're likely just treading water. To get ahead significantly, you need to invest extra time. Get in early, stay a bit late, maybe work through lunch sometimes if you need to catch up or get ahead. They argue that even just a couple of focused extra hours each day can effectively double your productivity compared to someone who just clocks in and out.
Work smarter and harder then. Got it. What about people? Relationships?
Hugely important. One source estimates 85% of your success and happiness comes down to the quality of your relationships. So, consciously build and maintain a positive network. And here's the key. Be a giver, not just a taker. Actively look for ways to help other people achieve their goals first. Treat everyone you meet with respect, like they're incredibly important, because they are, to your network. Build trust, provide value.
That's great advice for life, not just money. What about physical well-being?
Foundational. Your health underpins everything else. You want to be around to enjoy your success, right? Aim for a long, healthy life, 80, 90, 100+ years. Focus on the basics. Maintain a healthy weight, eat well, more protein, fruits, veggies, less sugar, salt, processed stuff, portion control. And exercise regularly. Aim for something like 200 minutes a week, maybe 30 minutes most days. Even just brisk walking counts. Interestingly, they note that controlling your eating habits often helps you gain control over other habits, including financial discipline.
Discipline in one area builds it elsewhere. And speaking of discipline,
Self-discipline. This comes up again and again. Maybe the single most crucial quality for success in anything. It simply means doing what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it at that moment or not. It's about having that long-term vision and being able to delay immediate gratification to achieve it.
that's the tough part for so many. Okay, resourcefulness. How does that fit in?
The sources say resourcefulness is actually more important than having resources initially. If you're resourceful, you'll figure out how to get the resources you need: money, connections, knowledge, whatever. They give the incredible example of Frederick Douglass, born enslaved, legally forbidden from learning, facing severe punishment if caught. Yet he resourcefully traded scraps of food for reading lessons from poor white kids, cleverly observed people. He found ways. His resourcefulness, not his starting resources, changed everything.
Wow. That really drives home the point that your current circumstances don't have to define your future. Experience. What kind?
You need practical experience. Specifically, you need to know how to do something that other people value, something that solves a problem they have and are willing to pay for. A good place to start. Look at problems you've solved for yourself. Chances are others have the same problem. And gaining some experience in sales, even if you don't plan to be a salesperson, is incredibly valuable for understanding how the market works, how value is exchanged.
Makes sense. Solve problems people care about. And the last principle, optimism.
Yeah, your ability to succeed is tightly linked to your ability to maintain a positive outlook, especially when things get tough. It's easy to be positive when everything's going well.
Right.
The real power is finding the good, the lesson, the opportunity, even in negative situations. It's not about ignoring reality, but about reframing it. How can I learn from this? What's the silver lining? How does this make me stronger? It keeps you moving forward.
Okay, those principles really build a solid foundation, both internally and in how you interact with the world. Let's get to the really practical stuff now. The step-by-step roadmap for a beginner. Mindset shifted, habits forming. What's the very first concrete money move?
Right. The sources lay out a very clear sequence. And it starts, really, at step 0, or maybe step 1, depending how you count. But it's the absolute foundation. Create your cash cow. You must have a source of income that brings in more money than you need just to survive. A surplus. This is your job, a side hustle, maybe a small business. Earning money. It's a skill you learn. Provide more value, solve bigger problems, ask to be paid appropriately. You can't do any of the next steps without this surplus cash flow. It's the fuel. So if you're employed, focus on increasing your value there. If you're entrepreneurial, focus on building that profitable venture.
Okay, secure the income, make sure there's something left over after the essentials. Where does that first bit of extra cash go?
Step 1 or 2 if earning is 0. Build a starter emergency fund. This is your first quick win. It gives you immediate breathing room. The sources usually suggest a fairly small, achievable amount, like $1,000 or maybe $2,000. Save it up and stick it in a separate savings account, ideally high yield, somewhere you won't easily dip into it.
Yeah.
This money is only for genuine emergencies, unexpected car trouble, urgent home repair, a medical copay, not for pizza night. It immediately starts breaking that paycheck-to-paycheck stress cycle. And crucially, it builds the habit, the muscle of saving. That's huge.
A small buffer zone builds confidence, builds the habit.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the biggest roadblock they point to next? What needs tackling urgently?
Step 2 or 3, pay off high-interest debt, especially credit cards. This is often the anchor dragging beginners down, and the sources are really emphatic here. Stop using the cards now. Cut them up, freeze them in ice, whatever works. Stop adding to the problem. Then you focus like a laser beam on paying off those existing balances. Get intense about it, find extra money, work more hours, sell stuff, cut discretionary spending way back like a temporary debt reduction sprint. You have to understand how crippling that interest is. We're talking 18%, 25%, sometimes higher APRs, $1,000 balance. You could easily pay $1,400 or more just in interest over time if you only make minimum payments. It's throwing money away.
Wow, $1,400 interest on $1,000 borrowed.
Yeah, that puts it in perspective. It really is an emergency. Are there specific strategies they recommend for paying it off? Yeah, two main ones usually come up. First is the debt snowball. You list all your debts, smallest balance to largest, ignore the interest rates for a moment. You pay minimums on everything except the smallest one. Throw every extra dollar at that smallest debt until it's gone. Then you take all the money you were paying on that one, minimum plus extra, and attack the next smallest. The psychological wins from knocking out debts quickly build incredible momentum. The other method is the high interest first, sometimes called the debt avalanche. You list debts by interest rate, highest to lowest. Pay minimums on all but the highest interest debt and hammer that one with everything extra. Mathematically, this saves you the most money on interest over time. Whichever you choose, the key is intense focus and consistency.
Right, pick a plan, attack the bad debt. Okay, once those high interest vultures are gone, what's the next layer of financial protection?
Step 3 or 4. Build a full emergency fund. Now you expand that starter fund significantly. You want enough cash saved to cover 3 to 6 months worth of your essential living expenses. For most people, this is going to be, $10,000, $15,000, maybe $20,000 or more, depending on your lifestyle and dependence. And again, this needs to be in a safe, easily accessible place like a high-yield savings account, not invested where it could lose value quickly. This is your real safety net. This is what some call FU money. It gives you immense peace of mind. It means you can handle a job loss, a major illness, walk away from a toxic work situation without panic, without going back into debt. It's freedom.
Okay, so secure income, small cushion, kill high interest debt, build the big safety net. Now, are we finally ready to start actually building long-term wealth?
Investing. Yes. Now you're ready. Step 4 or 5. Start investing for retirement in tax-advantaged accounts. With that solid cash cushion and the high-interest debt gone, it's time to put your money to work for the long haul. Open retirement accounts. If your employer offers a 401k, especially with a match, start there. If not, or in addition, open an IRA, individual retirement account. These accounts have huge tax advantages. Your money grows tax-deferred or tax-free, and contributions might even be tax-deductible now. And you absolutely have to understand compound interest here. Starting early, even with small amounts, is incredibly powerful. Time is your biggest ally. That money starts earning money, which earns more money. It snowballs over decades. And that employer match in a 401k, if they offer one, contribute at least enough to get the full match. It's literally free money. Don't leave it on the table.
Free money, always good. Okay, quick question though. What if you still have other debts, like a car loan or student loans? Should you wait to invest until those are totally gone?
Good question. The sources generally suggest prioritizing that high-interest debt first, as we discussed. But for lower interest debt, like say student loans under 5 or 6%, or a car loan at a decent rate, the math often favors starting to invest, especially to get that 401k match, while simultaneously working on paying down that lower interest debt, or making it the very next priority, which leads perfectly into step 5 or 6, pay off all other debt. Now you systematically tackle the rest of those car loans, student loans. Get rid of them. The only potential exception might be a mortgage, especially if it has a very low interest rate. Some people choose to keep that and invest the difference, but the goal is generally to become completely debt-free otherwise. Imagine that feeling. And think about the cash flow it frees up every month when those payments disappear. And this is where the sources issue a strong warning. Don't fall back into bad habits. Avoid taking on new debt, especially for things that go down in value, like brand new cars. Save up, pay cash for a reliable used one instead. don't sabotage your progress.
Become debt-free. That sounds amazing. Okay, so debt's mostly gone, maybe except the house. Emergency fund full, retirement investing started. What do you do with any more surplus cash that comes in?
Step 6 or 7. Max out retirement accounts and invest the surplus. Once those earlier steps are handled, your focus shifts to maximizing those tax-advantaged retirement accounts every year. Find out the annual contribution limits for your 401k, your IRA. Look into HSAs, health savings accounts. If you're eligible, they have triple tax benefits. If you have side income, maybe a solo 401k, pour money into those first. After you've hit those limits, any additional surplus cash can then go into regular, taxable brokerage accounts. And at this stage, thinking about diversification, spreading your investments across different types of assets like stocks, bonds, maybe real estate funds becomes more important. This phase is all about patience, discipline, and staying invested for the long term. Don't panic during market downturns.
That's a really clear progression, building security first, then methodically building wealth. Are there any other ongoing habits or practices we should keep in mind through all this?
Definitely. Couple of things. Keep an eye on your credit score. Check your reports regularly. Make sure everything's accurate. Pay every single bill on time. Always. Good credit saves you a ton of money on interest rates for mortgages, loans, even insurance sometimes. Also, don't be afraid to bargain or negotiate prices on bigger purchases. The sources encourage this. Ask for discounts, compare prices. It can save you serious money over time. And maybe most importantly, never stop learning about money and investing. Stay curious, read books, listen to podcasts like this one, stay informed, be a lifelong student of personal finance.
Continuous learning. Stay vigilant with credit. Don't be afraid to ask for a better price.
Got it. So after years of following these steps, building these habits, what does it actually feel like when you've, made it? Achieved financial freedom? Well, you'll know it when your income from your investments, your assets, maybe a business you built. When that passive or semi-passive income reliably covers not just your basic living expenses, but also the discretionary spending for the life you want to live. You reach a point where working a traditional job becomes truly optional. You have the freedom, genuine freedom, to choose how you spend your time. Maybe you keep working because you love it. Maybe you switch to part-time. Maybe you volunteer, travel, start a passion project. The choice is yours. You look at your budget, your financial plan, and the numbers just work. Income from assets consistently exceeds your expenses without you needing that mandatory paycheck.
Wow. That sounds like a fundamental shift in your whole experience of life. But it also sounds like it takes time. This isn't an overnight thing.
Oh, absolutely not. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a series of steps, and each one builds on the last. Honestly, those first few steps building the emergency fund, crushing that high-interest debt, they can feel like the hardest, maybe the longest, because your cash flow might be tightest then. But as you pay off debt, free up money, hopefully increase your income, you build momentum. The later steps often feel easier, faster. The snowball starts rolling downhill. And it's so important not to compare your progress to someone else's. Your timeline is your own. Your journey is unique. And as things get more complex, especially with investing strategies, tax planning, the sources do often suggest considering working with a qualified, fee-only financial advisor. They can provide personalized advice.
This whole breakdown has been incredibly helpful, taking it from mindset shifts through habits all the way to that concrete step-by-step plan. It makes it feel much less overwhelming, much more doable.
That's the goal. The steps themselves are relatively simple. It's the focus, the discipline, the consistent action over time. That's the real challenge and the real key.
Okay, so final thought for everyone listening. We talked about resourcefulness being maybe more powerful than resources, and how changing your perspective can change your outcome. So what's one small resourceful action you could take, maybe even today, to look at your finances just a little differently, to take one tiny step closer towards that life of freedom we've been talking about? And thinking about that roadmap, which step feels like the biggest hurdle for you right now? Or maybe which one feels the most exciting to reach? Let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely share your thoughts. And if this deep dive resonated, if it gave you some clarity or motivation, please hit that like button. It really helps us know what's useful for you.
And if you know someone else who's feeling stuck or maybe just overwhelmed by all this money stuff, share this deep dive with them. Maybe hearing the simple path laid out could be the spark they need.
Absolutely. And of course, subscribe to Marginal Thoughts so you don't miss future deep dives like this one. Thanks so much for joining us today.